Hi, it's me, back to review another Limbus company you knew as Target Extraction. This week's new Target Extraction brought us only a single 3-star ID in Zwei Association West Section 3 Ishmael, a very powerful ID for the Tremor archetype. And I really do mean very powerful. This is quite possibly the best general use ID of any ID on Ishmael at the very least, and definitely outclasses her other Tremor ID in LCCB Ishmael. Plus, she's a Season 0 ID, meaning you can always get her if you want to. In any case, this ID introduces a lot of new mechanics, so let's jump into it right away. It doesn't seem possible for Project Moon to implement a new ID without also inventing a new status effect to go with it, and in this case, that effect is Defensive Stance. Defensive Stance is a max value of 2 and decays by 1 at every turn end. Any unit with this effect has their speed fixed to the minimum speed of the ID, gains 5 defense level up, gains aggro to their skill slots equal to 10 divided by the number of slots they have, triggers Tremor Burst on winning a clash, can't be staggered, and can redirect attacks regardless of speed. This is quite possibly one of the most broken status effects in the entire game, and it turns Ishmael into the tank that the other Zwei IDs were meant to be. The Tremor Burst on Clashwind is also incredibly useful in a Tremor team, and when combined with Tremor Reverb can cause Ishmael's damage to skyrocket. Ishmael gains defense level up equal to her own Tremor count at turn start through her passive. Defensive Stance doubles the amount of defense level up she gains from that passive, capping it out at 10 defense level up per turn, or an equivalent to around 3 protection total if you just look at the defensive property. In this ID's case, Defensive Stance is accessed exclusively through her defensive skill, a 3 to 15 rolling guard skill that grants 2 defensive stance at combat start. It's also a brand new type of skill in that it's a guard that can clash. It also has a brand new type of coin that persists even on clash lose, meaning if you do roll that 3, though realistically it'll be like a 7 with how high her defense level is, you still get to use it as a traditional guard. It also gives 10 Tremor count to Ishmael and burst Tremor on winning a clash. So in case you need me to keep track, since it gives defensive stance on combat start, that means this skill is guaranteed to burst Tremor twice without lowering enemy Tremor count, and simultaneously being a strong skill on its own right, clashing higher than her skill 1. It's also Pride, so it fuels her passive. Yeah, so this is the cornerstone of her entire kit, and you don't even need to use it if you don't want to. Zwei Knight's Greatsword form is a 3-11 rolling blunt Pride skill with 2 coins and way too long of a name. For a skill 1, this is an insanely reliable... what's that? With 1 use of her guard, every single one of the skill's conditions are met, making it a 5 to 15 while also inflicting 2 Tremor count and giving 4 defense level up next turn. So the big thing you'll notice about this kit is that using her guard will turn on all of her conditionals at once on every skill if her passive is activated. It gives 10 Tremor count and 15 defense level up from a single use in that case, meaning that this skill's 8 defense level up is not even a conditional at all. Can't Let You Through is a 4 to 16 rolling blunt envy skill with 3 coins, but it can easily have an additional coin power because, let's be honest, 4 defense level up on this ID is hardly a conditional. It can also inflict 1 attack power down at 8 plus defense level up, though while this is nice, it's also same turn for who is likely one of your slower IDs. It also pretty easily inflicts 8 Tremor by itself, making it as good as Quake rounds for potency infliction. It's a really powerful skill that can be relied on in almost any situation. Ward is a 5 to 17 rolling blunt gluttony skill with 3 coins that can gain up to 4 coin power with 16 defense level up. If you do the math, that's 1 more than what you would get from a single use of her guard. It also just deals 70% more damage while in defensive stance. Hey, this skill is very overtuned in general, can burst Tremor up to 3 times, and the only thing stopping it from being insanely overpowered is that it forces you to use your guard again because it consumes all of your Tremor count and inflicting it to the enemy is potency. Let's not forget to mention that having any Tremor count at all makes up for that missing 1 defense level up, meaning it pretty much always rolls the maximum amount of 29 after a guard use. Is there anything not broken about this ID? Well, yeah, her support passive, which grants 2 defense level up to a single ally. Realistically, you will never want this. So to use this ID, you just start the fight by guarding, and then you play normally from that point until you use your skill 3, at which point you use her guard again the next turn. It's also nice to have her guard being used on the turn before you know that you're going to have a skill 3 available, so that you get the most damage possible out of that skill. It's not that complicated overall, but this is the first ID that really likes to use their guard skill repeatedly. So feel free to use it whenever you don't have defensive stance in order to maintain the status and roll exceptionally high, and also trigger quite a lot of tremor bursts. The ego of Ishmael's that she comes closest to fueling is Wing Beat, though I feel like you will never need that for healing with how little damage she takes overall. You'd be hard-pressed to find an ID that takes less damage, in fact. So instead, using Wing Beat as a decent method to deal a lot of damage is always a good use of the ego. The worst thing about this ID is her Sin Affinities, being incredibly common ones that aren't necessarily needed in the Tremor archetype overall. Her not having Sloth also hurts quite a bit, being a Tremor ID, since that archetype wants to have as many Sloth skills as possible. So yeah, she really wants to be in a Tremor team. Her own Tremor count gain is already insanely good, so I wouldn't put her in the first slot, because she really doesn't need the support passive of Yuri Divi Ryoshu in order to be held up. Solid team members include Mura Divi Honglu, T-Corp Don Quixote, Muller Otis, and Regret Faust, all of the key players of Tremor teams. If you really don't want to use Tremor, don't worry, this ID can be inserted into basically any team you can think of. She's entirely self-sustaining in terms of her power and damage conditionals, and only really struggles to keep enemy Tremor count high on her own. Her being a mono blunt ID means that any blunt-focused team will find her to be a worthy addition. Multicrack Heathcliff is the only ID at the time of this release who can inflict blunt fragility, but Diechi Rodian's support passive could potentially increase her damage by a good amount, since she both draws a lot of attacks with her high aggro gain, and can tank a lot of damage without much to worry about. And that's really just scratching the surface of this ID's potential. It's an insanely versatile ID, and any team can use it if you need them to. I'd like to thank you all for watching my video. I really appreciate it, especially if it made you subscribe or like it. Since this one was so short, I actually took the time to record my reaction to the new Canto 7 trailer. So I hope you all enjoy that, and I hope to see you again later. Hi, it's me. The Canto 7 trailer PV came out today. I know the Ishmael video would have been really short if I didn't do something else for it, so I'm gonna react to this. I've never actually done a reaction before. I'm gonna warn people right now, I'm not the most emotive person, but I do have the propensity to react, I suppose. So we're gonna see what they have in store for us for the next season, and then I'm going to try to go over it, because I know if I'm gonna recognize abnormalities, I'm also gonna be able to talk about them. So let's check it out. Canto Chapter 7 Oblivion. Let's see it. La Mancha Land is just so funny of a concept, honestly. Like, it's genuinely hilarious. What is that? Oh, that's Zwei Sinclair. Okay. Zwei Sinclair, did I see a sync ID as well? Was that? Oh, Sync Merceau, wait a minute. That's awesome, actually. What the hell? Oh, Hurting Hex Snail. Okay. Oh, Rose Hunter. A lot of people were saying Rose Hunter was going to be one of them as well. That's neat. And Merceau gets the other, what the heck was it called? I'll have to check again to see what it was called. Wow. Okay, that looks okay, never mind. I was gonna say it looks really similar to the other one, but it does not. The other one being Garden of Thorns. I mean, sick. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So let's see. What all did we have there? We had. Don't worry about that. We had Zwei Section 3 Sinclair. I'm guessing this is. This is gonna be our 2-star ID. I can't believe they're having association IDs being part of the story. They don't normally do that. Is why. It looks sick, honestly. Like, this is definitely a 2-star. If it's anything like Ishmael, this ID is going to be broken. Also hilarious, that Sinclair gets 2 Zwei IDs. That's insane. That's really funny, especially since his other one is so bad. uh, it's cool though. I'll be excited to see how it works. I hope it's better than the other one. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Are we really gonna have another Tremor Poise season though? And then we had, of course, Cinq Merceau, which looks amazing. Uh, expecting this to be the most broken ID that's been released in a long time because the Sync IDs tend to be very, very good, with the exception of Dawn, who is just good, not very good. Let's see. We had Hexnail for Sinclair and Rhodia. The Rhodia one looks so silly. I'm also surprised to see Hexnail in this chapter, but I'm actually not surprised. And the reason I'm not surprised is that we didn't get any Hexnail for a long time. Now, the only one that hasn't gotten a second ego is Ardor Blossom Star from the launch ego. But Hexnail is cool. We've been needing more of that for a long time. Hopefully it's good. The fact that it's going to be Envy Resonance almost guaranteed. I mean, actually, Sinclair's looks like it might be Lust and not Envy. But the fact that it's going to be resonance based almost guaranteed is certainly going to be a good thing. Kind of sad that Sinclair's is not going to be a VOV ego, it looks like. But that's fine. Then we had Rose Hunter, which the ego is just called Lasso for Hong Lu and Faust. Let's be honest, Hong Lu hasn't gotten an ego in so long. Like, he's got one relevant ego, and that is Blubbering Toad, whatever that was called, Cavernous Wailing. So it'll be nice to see him finally get a new thing. It looks like it might be Rupture again. I swear if he has 3 Heat Ego that do Rupture, that's going to be very disappointing. Faust, I don't know what to say about Faust. It looks like it might be maybe a VOV, but it might not be as well, judging by the art. It looks cool, though. I like that she has horse. And then lastly, we got... what the heck is this called? Yearning Merkala is what it's called. So Merkala, for anybody who doesn't know, Merkala is Carmilla backwards. And by backwards, I mean rearranged. Carmilla is the original vampire story. It was an Irish novel, and in the book, Merkala is one of the names that Carmilla goes by. I don't actually know which one is the real name. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have a feeling Merkala is probably the real one, but Carmilla is the name that she goes by during the actual novel. Surprised that it's Merceau, but I suppose I shouldn't be. This is definitely going to be a VOV ego as well. So that'll be Merceau's first VOV ego, so that'll be nice. And then, of course, we have the same for Don Quixote, which we already knew. Looks great. Still not a fan of Don. That's just me. But it looks great. Did we see anything more? Let me look back at this. Because, yeah, those are Blood Fiend enemies. So we're going to have more... Well, I mean, that was pretty predictable, let's be honest. So I'm excited to see how the Zwei and the Sync associations actually affect the storyline, because normally you don't get to see that very much. We don't know who the announcers are. I'm not going to get the paid one. The free one, probably just another character from the story. We'll know that once the update comes out. I'm probably not going to use it, let's be real. And then we got, like, this image. Where is it? Can't find it. Right here, which is not helpful in the slightest, actually. But yeah, looks pretty cool. I'll be excited to play it when it comes out. Until it comes out, next week. I'll probably stream it on the first day that it's out. And then we will see how everything goes then. So thank you for watching. I am excited. I'm maybe a little bit less excited because Dawn is like my least favorite sinner. So I don't have the greatest of hopes, but the chapter looks like it'll at least be fun. And the new IDs are at least interesting. The new ego is cool. So that's really nice. I'm going to go now because it is late and I need to be getting to bed. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day and I hope to see you again later. Bye.